Hi guys, welcome back to mini Mojo episodes. I'm your host, Nikki Fogden-Moore, the Mojo Maker. If you haven't already, come join me on my podcast, the Mojo Maker Show, on iTunes, Spotify, and all standard podcast platforms, as well as YouTube, Vitality Coach TV, or just type in Nikki Fogden-Moore, the Mojo Maker. Today's episode, I want to talk to you about the value of making mistakes and owning those, and that it's part of humanity to have humility. It's really, really important to lean in and not see every time you muck up as failure. So before I get onto that, before I teach you how to actually move through making mistakes, learn from them, and actually have the humility to go, wow, that was an amazing opportunity to make sure I don't repeat that same lesson, I want to just remind you of a couple of things. So I've still got my Mojo 30 code for all my books online. So the new book, Adulting, The Rally of Life, thank you so much for all the feedback. If you haven't got it already, you can buy it on Amazon, Booktopia, etc., etc. Also, you can get signed copies from my website, vitalitycoach.com.au. I'll put a link in the description box. So lots of models and everything else. The full color version is amazing, and there's some great case studies and pit stops in there, some really influential leaders in life. I'm also going to be doing a bundle. We have a new edition of Vitality, so that is fresh air, fresh food, and a fresh perspective. That is my fitness and goal setting and all my personal recipes here. So I'm doing signed copies of those. So very exciting. The two books are restocked, as well as Fitpreneur on the line. So without further ado as well, I wanted to get back to the message of what is wrong with making mistakes. I think the only problem you have when you make a mistake is if you keep repeating it. And there's a real concern at the moment with businesses and everything else. We've got to learn to forgive, to move on, and have the ability to go, wow, that didn't work out. How can I rectify it? What can I do to do things differently? How can I apologize if needed? And what can we do to make sure that we never make that mistake again? But so often now we're so quick to cut ourselves down and to cut others down, especially as we go through this evolution of this new landscape, and we're not giving ourselves or other people a chance to learn from their mistakes and learn from our mistakes. And this is equally as important when we're dealing with children as well. If we keep telling people off and shutting them up and shutting them off and not giving them an opportunity to own up and speak their truth and say, I didn't even realize what I was doing, I'm so sorry for that, I won't do that again, all we're doing is we're creating more of a fear-based society. So I want you to learn how to flip around the art of mistakes and see that these are actually experience. Without mistakes, without trying to, practice the art of mastering something, all we're doing is we're on autopilot. So it's extremely important as we evolve through any age group and any title and any level of responsibility in our small lives that we have the ability to lean in and to get experience by the mistakes that we make. Not every mistake has a bad intent next to it as well. Sometimes they're just honest slip-ups. We don't have the experience. We don't know questions to ask. We don't know. We get busy, accidents happen. Whatever the reason, there is only a problem when people continue to make the same mistake knowingly and they refuse to change. Then that is cause for action. But today I want to talk about giving yourself a break, forgiving yourself, learning about the role of mistakes in our evolution for self-development, and realizing that making a mistake is not a negative failure. Especially you have the calm and integrity and humility to go, wow, I'm so sorry, I could have done that differently. And you need to give people and you need to give businesses a chance. Mistakes. If they're willingly coming forward with good intent to want to work together with you, I know some of the greatest relationships are built out of chaos and the ability to lean in and have a good intent to work together. So ask yourself this first: what is the real problem with making a mistake if you don't have the ability to own up to it and see it as a point of building your experience? And secondly, how, if you do make a mistake, can you stand in that truth and go, my goodness, I didn't realize that was going to be the repercussions. I'm extremely sorry. I didn't pay attention, and here's how I'm going to do things differently. It's very, very important that you don't beat yourself up, but you learn from the things that go wrong, because that's where you earn your stripes. That's where a captain learns to sail his ship in all conditions. That's where a rally driver learns how to change a tire faster, how to pack different types of resources, fuel, repair kits, depending on the conditions. That is because we make mistakes and we learn from them, and that's how we build our experience. If you go through life and you want to ask Siri everything before you actually venture out to try something, then chances are you're not going to build any experience, and you're going to unlimitedly put yourself at risk of actually not using the cognitive functions in your body and learning how to be really fantastic at all skills and resources that you have the capability to grow, master, and create a success from. I want to give you a little case study. One of the small businesses that I work with, they're actually working in a beautiful growth and turnover, and the founder there is a really, really fantastic visionary leader, and he got really busy and they scaled really fast, and then COVID hit and he had to go on a skeleton staff for a while without any other reason. They just couldn't afford to keep everyone, and some people were at home, and it wasn't a business that could work fully virtually at that point. What happened during that time is a lot of the gaps happened in their client service and delivering some of their products and being available, because suddenly they had a third of their staff, but they still had the same number of clients to service. Things were going wrong. So what was going on though is clients weren't speaking up early enough, and it built resentment, and there was a lot of emails coming through, and then nothing was happening, and then it just blew into this big ball of complaint after complaint after complaint. So he calls me and he's got his head in his hands. He's like, what am I going to do? This is terrible. Nobody's happy. I don't have the staff. I've completely failed. And I said, write everything down in a piece of paper and sit there and go through it with your integrity, knowing that there's always a solution. So that's what we did. We took every single client, we took every single complaint, and we worked out the apology that was required if it wasn't fulfilled, what he could do to rectify it, the honest reason why that didn't happen, and he made a phone call to every one of those clients. So 10 out of those clients were all absolutely happy to have that conversation. And I think that was so important, is that ability for him to show up in his own right, to not come back with an excuse, but to go, hey, I am so sorry this has happened. We're a third of our staff. I didn't even know what was going on. All of a sudden it all came in. How can I make this right for you? So by saying, I've made a mistake, I'd like to rectify it, all of a sudden it builds a bridge and an avenue to have an open communication and know what to do next. So that intent, that recognition that something went wrong, whether or not it was in your power or not, it doesn't matter. Recognizing something went wrong and then having the intent to bridge the gap and find a solution, they're really powerful humility areas to build as leadership, and to build as business, and to also build as parents and friends and everything else. So I stuffed up in that. I'd like to make it right. What can we do? And the third thing is, stop beating yourself up, because you know you're a good person. You know you're going to do some things wrong. You can't please everyone. You're not going to be perfect, but it's progress, not perfection, that matters. And I think this is the true art of replacing worrying with faith. You have to be able to back yourself and go, I am so sorry I stuffed up, or we are so sorry as an organization that we stuffed up, but we want to make it right. And then you can start the journey to rectifying it. It doesn't mean you have to take on board all the responsibility of a mistake if it was not in your power. But what you can do is recognize the situation and own your side of the street. That builds truth, integrity, transparency, and trust. Everyone is going to muck up. People lose money. They build companies that fall apart. They don't do parenting well. They don't do relationships well. But it's the learning and the leaning in and the art of being vulnerable that allows us to master our skills, to have the humility, and to find the grace and integrity and going, wow, this is just part of life. So in these few minutes, all I want you to think about is that it's okay to make mistakes, just don't keep making the same mistakes. And you know in your heart of hearts if it's an honest mistake or not. And if it is, pick up the phone, do an email, reach out, sit down with your kid. If you're a kid that's made a mistake, sit down with your parent and go, wow, I made a mistake. I don't know why it happened. I just was negligent. Whatever the reason, I would like to rectify it. And then the third thing is really give yourself some kindness and compassion, and understand that life is like a rally. It's all conditions, all seasons, and leading in life means going, I'm going through this too. So part of this experience is being able to share that with someone else, to go, we've made that mistake before. You're not the first person. We're going to help you through it. And what we do then is we create an environment of curiosity, connection, and contribution instead of fear, rejection, and abandonment. So I want to repeat that. We create an environment of curiosity, we create an environment of connection, and we create an environment of contribution. How can I rectify this? What can I do to make it different? And how can I connect because you matter? Very, very important. So replacing fear, abandonment, and rejection with the one thing that really matters, which is significant. So making mistakes as being part of human. It's what we do with that moment, having the humility and the grace to own up for it, that really can define your future and build you the most remarkable relationships, because people know deep down when you're genuine or not. And first of all, you have to back yourself. So I hope this tip today on leaning into mistakes, making sure you don't make them again, having the humility to own up, and having open conversations, and giving someone, whether it's a business, a friend, a partner, a child, or a company you're working with, the opportunity to rectify that. Don't just shut people off, because then you may never get the chance as well to grow and learn from your mistakes. We're in a world where humility, grace, and integrity will go a long way. So I hope this has given you a great little adulting tip. As usual, you can grab Adulting, the Rally of Life, signed copies through my website, vitalitycoach.com.au. This is very exciting that this book is out, and I'm also bundling it up with Vitality, the new edition. Use Mojo 30 on my website for 30% off. Until next time, you guys stay healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm Nikki Fogden-Moore, the Mojo Maker, and I hope you liked this little mini episode today.